The afternoon sun burned hot over the highway connecting Phoenix to a small town in northern Arizona. The road lay nearly empty, stretching wide beneath the dry desert heat. That was where Margaret Collins felt her luxury sedan lose power and slowly roll to a stop. Margaret was 64 years old. A well-known executive across the United States, she was respected in boardrooms, feared in negotiations, and admired for the empire she had built from nothing. Control had always been her greatest strength. Preparation and authority, she believed, could solve any problem. When the engine shut down, the silence felt heavier than the heat. There was no phone signal, no assistance to call, no quick solution waiting. Margaret stepped out of the car, irritation clear on her face. Her polished shoes touched the cracked asphalt as she surveyed the empty road. Across the highway stood a small, weathered repair shop, its sign faded, its garage door half open. She hesitated. This was not her world, not her standard. Still, she crossed the road. Inside, the smell of oil and metal filled the air. An old radio played softly in the background. Beneath a dusty pickup truck worked Daniel Brooks, a mechanic in his early 40s, hands marked by grease, movements calm and steady. Daniel slid out from under the truck, wiped his hands on a rag, and greeted her politely. Margaret explained the breakdown quickly and impatiently, making a point to mention recent high-end services done in Los Angeles and Dallas. As she spoke, her eyes scanned the shop. Worn tools, no computers, no signs of modern sophistication. Daniel listened without interrupting. He did not defend his work, he simply asked for the keys. Margaret let out a brief, unconscious laugh, not cruel, but dismissive. She handed him the keys, convinced this stop was nothing more than a waste of time. Daniel opened the hood and leaned in. He did not rush. He listened. He watched. Margaret stepped back, checking her phone again, already reorganizing meetings in her mind. The delay annoyed her more than the breakdown itself. What she failed to notice was the moment Daniel's focus sharpened. A small detail caught his attention, something subtle, easily overlooked, yet important. After a few minutes, Daniel asked what had happened just before the engine died. Margaret answered vaguely, mentioning a slight vibration she had ignored. Daniel nodded slowly. In that quiet moment, something shifted, not in the engine, but in Margaret's certainty. Her perfect routine had been broken, and what seemed like a simple inconvenience was about to become the beginning of a change she never expected. Daniel remained silent for a moment, as if organizing thoughts that did not need many words. With steady movements, he removed a small component, barely noticeable to an untrained eye. Margaret watched from a distance, arms crossed, struggling to hide her impatience. She had always solved problems with calls, contracts, and authority. Now she depended on a man she did not know, in a shop she would never have chosen. The situation pressed hard against her pride. When Daniel explained that the issue might have come from an unnecessary adjustment during a previous service, Margaret reacted with disbelief. She questioned whether top-tier service centers in major cities could really miss something so basic. Daniel did not take offense. He calmly said that sometimes too many hands cause more confusion than help. Machines, he added, do not respond to reputation, only to attention. The words unsettled her. Margaret put her phone away and began watching closely. Daniel showed no rush, no desire to impress. There was quiet confidence in his movements, the kind built through years of experience. When he finished, Daniel asked her to turn the key. She did so without expectation. The engine hesitated briefly, then settled into a smooth, steady sound. Margaret froze. She stepped out of the car slowly, staring at the dashboard as if searching for a rational explanation. Daniel explained that the problem was simple, a minor misalignment caused by unnecessary interference. Embarrassment rose quickly. The memory of her earlier laugh returned, sharp and uncomfortable. Margaret took a deep breath and for the first time in a long while admitted she had been wrong. She apologized. Daniel responded naturally, saying it happened often. People arrived convinced they already knew the answer. Margaret paid for the repair and added extra without comment, but she did not drive away right away. She stood beside the car, lost in thought. Something felt unfinished. Before leaving, she asked if he had ever considered working at a larger operation. Daniel said he had been offered chances, but preferred staying where he could solve real problems without pressure or appearances. Margaret drove back onto the highway, the engine running perfectly, but her mind, for the first time in years, was restless. The highway stretched calmly ahead, but inside Margaret Collins, nothing was calm. The steady hum of the engine, meant to bring relief, became a constant reminder of what had happened in that small repair shop. She tried to focus on her upcoming commitments, meetings, decisions, responsibilities that had always defined her identity. None of it held the same weight. Her brief laugh replayed in her mind, not as mockery, but as proof of a habit she had never questioned. The rush to judge, the comfort of certainty, the tendency to measure people by their surroundings. That night, sleep came in fragments. She woke before dawn with a tightness in her chest she could not ignore. Sitting alone at the kitchen table, she realized how automatic her life had become. Everything functioned, everything moved forward, yet very little was truly seen. In that quiet moment, she made a decision she never thought she would. She canceled meetings, silenced her phone, and returned to the same small town the next morning. The repair shop was busy when she arrived. Modest cars, local voices. Daniel worked beneath the hood of an old sedan, focused and unhurried. Margaret paused at the entrance. She felt something unfamiliar. Uncertainty. She was no longer there as an executive. She carried no authority, only questions. Daniel noticed her and gave a brief nod, then returned to his work. No surprise, no expectation. Margaret explained she had not come back because of the car. She admitted the previous day had unsettled her. She confessed that her reaction had come from pride. Daniel listened quietly. Then he said something that left her without defense. Sometimes the real failure is not in the machine, but in the way we look at it. The words landed heavily. Margaret spent the morning observing. She watched Daniel diagnose problems through sound and touch. She saw how he treated every customer with the same patience and respect. It unraveled her. She began revisiting her own past. How many capable people had she dismissed because they did not fit her image of success? How many choices had been shaped by appearance instead of attention? The fall was not public, it was internal. She felt the weight of decades built on rigid certainty. She felt shame. She felt fear. Before leaving, she asked one final question. If you had unlimited resources, what would you do differently? Daniel paused before answering. I would listen longer, he said. Resources never replace attention. That was the lowest point. Margaret left the shop without clear answers, without certainty, only with the understanding that moving forward would require leaving an old version of herself behind. The days that followed unfolded differently for Margaret Collins, even though her routine appeared unchanged from the outside. She returned to glass offices, long meetings, and tight schedules, yet something essential had shifted within her. Margaret noticed how quickly she used to interrupt, how often she filled silence with certainty. Now she paused, she listened. She allowed conversations to breathe. Small details began to stand out. a junior employee with a quiet but sharp observation, a technician who understood a problem better than a manager. Moments that once passed unnoticed now demanded attention. Several weeks later, Margaret made the drive back to the same small town in northern Arizona. She chose a modest rental car this time, arriving without announcement or urgency. The road felt familiar, but she felt different. At the repair shop, Daniel Brooks worked beneath the hood of an old truck, just as she remembered, calm, focused, unmoved by status or expectation. When he noticed her, he greeted her the same way he greeted everyone else, with quiet respect. No curiosity, no anticipation. Margaret thanked him again, not for the repair, but for the moment that it forced her to see herself clearly. She admitted that the breakdown on the highway had exposed how deeply pride had shaped her decisions, how often she had mistaken control for wisdom. Daniel listened, then responded simply. "Problems reveal more about people than solutions do," he said, "and those who listen carefully usually learn the most." The words stayed with her. Before leaving, Margaret asked if she could return again, not as a client, but as a learner. Daniel agreed without ceremony. There was no agreement, no plan, only mutual respect. Back at her company, Margaret began changing how decisions were made. She created spaces for people to speak without interruption. She rewarded attention, patience, and practical understanding. Titles mattered less. Listening mattered more. Over time, the culture around her shifted, not through announcements or policies, but through example. People felt seen. Problems were solved with clarity rather than speed. The repair shop never became part of her business world. Daniel never left his town, and Margaret never tried to bring him into her sphere. That boundary preserved the lesson. Some encounters are not meant to be owned or expanded. They are meant to transform us quietly. Now, pause and reflect. How many times have you dismissed someone because they did not fit your expectations? How often has certainty prevented curiosity? If this story resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments. And if you value stories that slow us down and remind us what truly matters, follow the channel and join us for the next reflection.